I am a content creator based in Canada, and I make videos about living the life of an entrepreneur and building a candle business. Today's video is specifically focused on building a candle business in 2025. I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and I'm going to give you my tips on what I would do if I were starting from scratch all over again, specifically how I would start a business this year in 2025. So if you are looking for some tips on building out your own business, whether or not it be candles or a small business with products, definitely give this video a listen and make sure to subscribe and hit that like button because that really helps us creators. So let's not waste any time and let's dive right in. Is Northstar Candle Co. I make candles based on memories and moments spent in nature across Canada. I have 4 signature scents, which are all based on different parts of the country, starting with the East Coast. I have Ocean Hour, which is a blend of lavender, jasmine, and sea salt. Moving through Ontario and Quebec, I have Fireside Moon, which is a beautiful blend of campfire, pine, and a little bit of cedar, smoke, and vanilla. And then we get into the prairies. With Prairie Sunsets, I have a mixture of rose, sandalwood, amber, and oak moss, and then we end in the mountains. The Mountain Mornings is a blend of vanilla, espresso, cedar bark, and spice. It smells like waking up amongst the mountains and having a fresh cup of coffee. So as you can tell, I love nature. I love integrating my scents with memories. If you're a big traveler, if you've, had different memories growing up across Canada, these candles are going to spark that memory and inspiration for you. And then I, of course, have seasonal scents where I have like my holiday line, I have a spring and summer line, and then a Valentine's Day launch, which I just continue all year long, which is a lavender vanilla. People really liked it, so I just kept it going. I also specialize in custom candles for brides and businesses. That's like a big focus of mine right now. So that's the backstory on who I am in terms of the candle business. So I started prepping kind of my candle business in January of 2023. I didn't launch until June of 2023, and it is now March of 2025. So as of June this year, I'll have been in active business for 2 years. And let me tell you, it has not been easy. It has not been as profitable as I thought it would be. Definitely a lot of highs and lows. Candles are not the most profitable thing that you can do if you're looking to start a small business and you're looking for ideas. I would say like candles are amazing, but definitely have a passion for them, because if you don't, it could get tiring very fast. The profit margins on candles are challenging, and so I'd say that is like my biggest thing. It's really hard to scale a business because the market is so saturated. So many people make candles. Shipping is really difficult. There's a lot of breakages, and the weight of the packages are always quite heavy, so it's expensive. And then of course all the supplies that go into making candles, the profit margins are not fantastic. Depends on the industry you're in, but candles, I would say, are more of a, if you really love candles and you love scents and you want to share your passion, I would do it, but it's definitely not easy. So that's where we're going to start the video today. If you are watching this and you have a candle business or you want to start a candle business, I'm going to give you some tips on what I would do differently if I were to start all over again. So I would first say, before you do anything, before you buy too much, really determine your brand. Make sure you know who your audience is, what kind of candles you want to make. Determine the vibe, because you don't want to be spending all your money on buying different jars and different scents and different wicks and trying. Of course you have to test different scents out. Definitely do your research, but before spending a lot of money, take the time on the back end to know kind of who are you speaking to, who is your ideal customer, really understanding your audience before you start launching. For myself, I definitely know my audience is females, kind of between the age of 25 to 45. It's kind of broad age-wise because a lot of people like candles, but I'm definitely targeting females. I'm definitely targeting people who love home decor, who have like an aesthetic, minimalistic home decor style, but also people that like are outdoorsy, like to be outside, like to create memories in nature, and want to take a piece of their travel home. So that's my brand. And I feel like you could lose a lot of money by kind of casting your net too wide, having all these different looking jars and not being specific in your audience, and then showing up to a market and somebody kind of coming to your booth and not really understanding like what is your vibe. What is your niche? Obviously, you can have different jars. I do as well. They're all streamlined in that minimalistic decor, pastel-y colors, nothing too bold or crazy, but also not just glass. Like I specifically chose a style that was more elevated than your typical candle that you see on the shelves, but not like totally quirky. So I would say just like know your audience, do your research before spending too much money. And then the next thing I would do is talk to other vendors before making a decision on all the markets you're gonna do, if you wanna do markets. So I spent the first year and a half kind of trying every market I possibly could. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to just see which ones I liked, which ones I didn't. And I'm glad I did it. I don't regret it, but you can spend a lot of money signing up for different markets, and a lot of them are just duds, and you don't make any money, and it's a lot of time and energy. So I would say talk to other vendors, find out in your community which ones they like, which ones you don't like or they don't like, which ones have a great reputation. Obviously you can't predict each event, but there are, I would say, like specific markets that tend to do better than others. And I'm glad that I tested so many different ones, but I will say as I continue to move forward, I'm being a lot more selective about which markets I'm doing and where I'm putting my time and energy, because it's easy to overbook yourself and then you just have spent so much money and so much time and it's not always worth it. The next point comes down to marketing materials. In terms of having a business, you want to portray yourself in a positive light, in a very nice looking light online. Nowadays, if you have a brand, you need to have a presence on social media. So I would say before just like opening up an Instagram account and kind of posting willy-nilly and not having any sort of like cohesion, I would try to gather assets before you start posting. Have a backlog of like 10 pieces of content that you can know looks good, you feel comfortable with, and will look good on your grid. I'm not saying you have to have a perfect grid on Instagram. I definitely don't, but I do. That is something I wish I had done a little bit better, is like kind of set up that cohesion online, really focus in on my branding a little bit further before launching. I was lucky enough to work with some incredible photographers here in my city, but I would say like if you have the money, do a photo shoot with your candles and yourself, because I definitely think it helps elevate the look. And having polished photos on your website will make you stand out. I actually met with a Shopify specialist. So if you're gonna build a website, Shopify is a great place to do it. I started building one, but it was too much money for me to pay every month to justify it. So I'm on Etsy and something called the Virtual Market. I'll have those links below if you'd like to buy any candles. But if you are gonna go ahead with a Shopify account, it's a great platform. It's about $50 a month as like a small business. But the specialist I talked to said, make sure you have good photos. That will set you apart from so many brands. So if you can put the money in to get some branding done, I would recommend that, and definitely have kind of a backlog of assets and photos that are your go-to for all of your online platforms when it comes to Instagram, a website, Etsy, whatever you choose, like however you choose to promote your products, you definitely want high quality marketing materials. I'll also say, like, don't feel the need to be rushed. You don't need to set up every single online platform all at the same time. You don't need to launch a Shopify and an Etsy all at the same time. You know, I've slowly grown, which I think you could probably pick it up a little bit faster than what I've done. Like, I'm doing this in conjunction with other passions and full-time jobs and stuff. So I moved a little bit slower probably. But like I set up my Etsy first, and then a year later I got the virtual market, and then I was working on a Shopify website, but like I said, it wasn't quite worth it for me. I've gone into stores here and there. Like, I just feel like you don't need to rush everything. Kind of pick the most important things first, determine what your goals are, you know, the values of the company, where you see your vision, like put a business plan together, and then take actionable steps to get to where you want to be. It doesn't need to happen overnight. So don't put too much stress on yourself, because it does take time to build a business. My next point is about having preferred vendors. So obviously I order from a variety of different people. I order from Village Craft and Candle Co, which is a Ontario-based manufacturer for candle supplies. I go to Windy Point soap supplies. I order from Hive and Honey Candle Co, and I order from Candle Science, and I've ordered from Make Easy. So that's like 5 different kind of websites that I've ordered from. But as I've gone on, I've really tried to like be selective of who I'm ordering from. Some people's prices are better than others. Obviously some people's scents I like more than others. But like some people's shipping rates are a lot more. So it's like kind of do your research as to which companies you want to order from, find the scents that you like, find the wicks that you like, the wax and all that, and kind of just have like a smaller group of vendors that you can buy from. It just keeps your process a little bit more streamlined, and I think it's actually better in terms of saving money. So like I have a couple American people that I order from, but it ends up being very expensive because you have to pay duties and shipping and customs and all that stuff. So I try to keep it in Canada, and only a select few scents will I actually go out to the States to order, just because they're so good. I can't help myself. Also, my spring and summer jars do come from Candle Science, which is American, but I love the jars so much that I don't mind paying the price. But just make sure you're marking up your candles enough to cover the cost of all of those additional charges of delivery and duties and all that. And then my last point in terms of what I would do differently, it kind of took me a year to realize this, but just like setting your margins and knowing your price point. I wanted to sell my candles to a demographic that could afford to buy, you know, high quality organic soy wax candles that contain fragrance oils that don't have any harmful chemicals in them. Like that was my goal. I don't want to be another run-of-the-mill candle company that sells at, you know, Winners for $12. I mean, those are being made in like China or Vietnam, like they're not even being made in Canada. But because I'm putting in time and effort and I'm making clean candles and I'm pouring them myself, I knew my candles weren't going to be as cheap as, you know, something you could pick up at Walmart. But I still struggled to set my price margins high enough to make enough money. The first 6 months I was in business, I did not. I was in the red. Second year, I was in the black, about $4,000. Still not great. This year, I'm doing everything I can to actually make a profit from my business. I would say that this business is not super profitable, and knowing your profit margins are really going to help you get to a point where you are able to scale and you are able to actually make a living. So for wholesale, people usually say charge double. So if a candle costs you $10 to make, charge around $20. That's wholesale. They have to order enough to make it worth it for you. But when you go into a store or a market, I think people typically say charge 3 times the amount. I do struggle with that because I do still want people to be able to afford my candles. I find a lot of the time at markets when I was saying, you know, $35 for a candle, people would walk away. And so I brought my prices down to $32 for one of my signature scents. But then it's like I'm having to pay for the jar, the scent, the wick, the labels, and that's not even including my time, you know? So when you add up all those costs as a small business owner, you know, it costs a lot of money. So to 3 times it can feel uncomfortable, but I think you just have to help people understand why they're paying a little bit more for a hand-poured candle, something made locally, something that has meaning behind it, something that's clean for the home, and it's gonna last a long time. You know, so at markets, I'll charge $32 for my signature line. And I explain to people, you know, this is going to last up to 60 hours. You're going to have it for a long time. You can reuse the jar in the end. Like there's so many options. So I would just say like, don't sell yourself short, and do not undercut yourself, because you will regret it and you're going to end up losing money. Because that happened to me. So definitely take some time to go through your profit margins and budget out your products properly so that you are making money from this business. As much as we love doing it, it's a passion project, you obviously still want to make an income. You don't want to be in the hole from it. So that sums up how I would build a candle business in 2025. If you have any questions, please drop them below. I'd love to hear from you, and let me know if you've built your own candle business. I'd love to check out your page. It's definitely a fun, you know, hobby. I love making candles. I love coming up with the scents and the branding and the marketing. Like that's probably my favorite part of it. It's cool to run your own business and to see your item in people's homes. Like I love when people are like, oh, I bought your candle last year and I just enjoyed it so much around the holidays and I'm back to get another. Like that just makes me so happy. And I love to know that my pieces are in someone's home and I made it with my hands. It's pretty cool. So I definitely don't want to deter you from starting a candle business. I think there can be a lot of success in it. If you can diversify, make your brand unique, that will be definitely the best way to help grow, because candles are everywhere. So you do need to differentiate yourself from the pack, and I do believe you'll go far. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys being here, and stay tuned every Monday for new videos. See you in the next one. Bye.